her up and be like, we're here.
All right, well, that was Greg, and apparently the show started, so we're going to go ahead and get started. This is Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration. I am Matt Johnson. You've already heard from my co-host, Greg, because, of course, he's talking as the show opens. I don't know why, but he felt like he needed to contribute before he got a chance to really be properly introduced as the Junior Grandmaster and co-host himself. And just for that, I'm going to put you on the back burner. How about that?
You bastard.
I know. That's what I do.
That's what I get. I know. It's my penance.
It is. And you're not taking it because you're still talking. Anyway, let me just say we just want to apologize for being a little late on the live broadcast today. So if anybody's watching here on YouTube or on our website, thanks for hanging in there with us. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube so you get all the future videos. And then if you want to listen to the replays on the audio side, just go head on over to iTunes or Stitcher and subscribe there. We've got an amazing guest. We've got Kathleen Black here with us today, and we're going to go really deep on the difference between the sales mindset versus the consulting mindset, and we'll get to Kathleen in a second. But then now I will go ahead and bring officially in Greg McDaniel, my partner in crime. Greg, what's up?
Woohoo! All right, now I get to talk. This is the best part of the show. Man, I'm so happy to be here. I'm just about, my buttons were bursting off. I actually was wearing buttons today. See? The joys of working from home. I got to show everyone with. So this is one of my favorite shirts. Say, all day, every day, just my monkey, just kick back and relaxing. That's just because I'm a California spirit, man. I just like to do nothing and relax. Although I am blessed beyond belief, I have Timothy Quinlan, my designer, off my house behind me, just did a masterful job. I actually feel like I'm living in a house mat versus a frat boy's, dream of everything tan and nothing, nothing to clean. Now I have to actually water plants and be responsible and all this other stuff. But I'm super, super grateful for all of that. And it's the joys of working from home, man, and working for yourself. You can wear a baseball hat with a shirt that says, all day, every day with a monkey on it with a nice, clean home. My life is good. I have no complaints today. I really don't.
Great. I just wish you hadn't worn that shirt today.
No. Why not? I think it's very true to my spirit.
Oh, yes, it's very true to your spirit. All right, so let's bring in our special guest, Kathleen Black. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Doing really well. So for those that aren't familiar with you, why don't you give people just a 60-second bio on who you are, where you are, and what you do?
Well, I run a team-specific coaching and consulting company. I'm situated out of Toronto, a little bit east. Toronto is a big city, a little bit east of Toronto, but we actually coach teams all across Canada. We do training into Manhattan in USA as well. So basically came from being a top producer and got into coaching very quickly, and we've had a lot of clients really successful and grow with us, so we love what we do.
Awesome. And just fill us in a little bit, and the only reason I even know to ask this question is because with Jeff Cohn, we spoke up in Ottawa earlier and got some of the feedback from the agents there on the differences that they perceive between the U.S. and the Canadian market, and why maybe some of the content that Americans share on how they succeed in real estate might not apply to Canada. So what's your take on that?
That's interesting. There are some differences. I mean, there's certainly some some linguistics, like sometimes I'm saying a different language, but in the end of the day, I'd say it's extremely close. I mean, what we're trying to do is connect with clientele and, show care and concern for them and be able to help them throughout the process of buying an investment or buying a home. And I mean, the basis of the business is very, very similar in my mind. And the more that I do training in US versus Canada, I think actually the differences are even smaller than I thought, to be honest.
Really? Good.
I have a friend of mine, Sarah. She's out of Canada. She's in Calgary. And I was talking with her, talking about the differences between English and Canadian, how we have the words and everything. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're wearing a beanie, and she's like, no, it's a toque. And I'm like, what the hell's a toque? She's like, it's a beanie. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I mean, do you ever run across any of those things, those small idiosyncrasies where people are like, I'm saying something totally clear, but just there's that slight variation, and if you do, how have you handled it? When it comes to your coaching.
To be honest, I mean, I of course I've approached it. I mean, there's been little things, but it hasn't been business language. It's been filler language. Like I said, pardon, and they said, oh, we know you're from Canada because you say pardon. I'm like, really? I don't know if that's true, but they claim that that's something we say more, or say a, but When it comes to actual business coaching, I really haven't had any difference. Like sometimes when we talk about contract versus exclusivity agreement, we talk about, the deal versus firm. There's some little differences, but I don't really have any main ones in the actual business world that have been an issue for us at all.
Well, what about on the marketing service agreement side? Because from what we understand, mortgage brokers are actually allowed to directly pay for referrals or compensate in some way for referrals up in Canada.
Well, we have to disclose if there's any type of kickbacks or any, points given. I mean, I always say I might need 1,000 points to go to Disneyland, but I still have to tell you that you need to give them to me. End of the day, we want to send our business to people who take care of our clients, because otherwise there's no deal. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, we do disclose it on our buyer exclusivity agreements that we do have the option to be able to be, compensated by third party.
Okay, interesting. All right. So when you're coaching in the teams that you've worked with and come across and things like that, what's especially up in Canada, what's their typical lead generation model, or is there any particular type of lead generation model that you really like to coach or see in a team because it's more sustainable or has certain advantages?
Absolutely. I mean, the obvious one is certainly online. I mean, I can't really escape that one in the team environment. It's such an amazing combination. If you have teams who are highly efficient and very systematic, to combine them with online lead generation, it just makes sense. I mean, we get massive amounts of business coming from that source. And then there's the obvious. I mean, of course, we want to nurture repeat referral business flowing in. More of the top teams that we work with do less specific farming. I find the bigger they get, the more generalized they seem to get. So we get away from just, the one pocket kind of idea. But I would say mastering the online game when we're talking about, Google AdWords, pay-per-click, whatever you want to call it, is massive for a lot of the big clientele that I work with. And we came from a model, I mean, the team model I came from took massive amounts of leads and, converted them and booked appointments. And in the coaching company, we were able to get those numbers all the way across Canada, which has allowed us, to have the systems that we have now. So long story short, I like online because it works for us. So.
All right, and then I know that the email, like the CAN spam or similar type laws, were much more strict for Canada. There's an interesting law that came down just a couple of years ago. So how is that how teams are building their database?
You know what? There's good and bad to that. I mean, I would say my business, as a business to business, it affects me a lot more than I think it even affects our coaching clients or realtors, because for us, we want to get on the phone. We may text, we may also email, but really we want to get on the phone. And I mean, when you're going through and asking for information online, you're also giving permission for those agents to call you and to contact you. So even more so, the online lead generation has been our friend because of those types of stipulations, because we're getting permission to contact, right? And you might need to renew that permission. I'm not saying you wouldn't, but initially we're contacting in response to a request, right? So it's a little bit different.
Gotcha. Perfect. All right. Greg, did you have a question that I think I cut you off?
Me?
Yeah, didn't I cut you off?
No, sorry. I on the audio on my side is a little bit rough. I'm just trying to track everything, so I'm just listening to our conversation.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of the audio feedback, and I'm having a hard time kind of keeping that down. So I'm doing my best here to kind of selectively Kathleen's end, but it's not always going through immediately. So then sometimes there's a lag there. So anyway. So let's get into the sales versus the consulting mindset a little bit, and this is a really interesting conversation. This is something that Chris Angel brought up when he was a guest a while back, and he pretty much put it the way that he phrased it, which is, I think it was something to the effect of, the real estate as a whole as an industry has kind of changed from a sales to a consulting industry without most people even being aware that change has taken place. So, Kathleen, when I first came in time with you, we got to talking about that a little bit, and you've noticed a lot of the same changes. So, what are those changes that you've seen that are contributing to that move away from it, like especially the consumers kind of push back against that sales mentality that has been drilled into us since the 70s?
I mean, I think the move has been predicted overall from, many great minds, right? Like you look at Stephen Covey's The 8th Principle of Success, and I mean, talking about the wisdom era or, our era of intellectual property, I mean, it's well been forecasted, but to see the transitions in real estate, I think they're abundant. I don't think clientele wants to be pushed. I don't think they want trial closes. I don't think they want slick lines. I think they're really empty. And, you know, in a team environment, because that's what I work with, I mean, it's very evident when you get somebody fully up and trained on all the lines, all the lingo, but you ask them any question outside of that, and there isn't that extra content because the context of experience isn't in place yet. So I think clients are really looking for, yes, something that's relevant to their experience, but they're looking for wisdom, and wisdom is very different from information. And I believe the ability to sell and have a top sales business comes more so from an information age. In a wisdom age, it's going to come from that experience, that trust, that integrity. And for me, the intent in the sales role versus the consulting role, very, very different. I find them quite night and day. And you know, the beautiful part is in a consulting role, I mean, we respect and trust that our clients are intelligent people. They are logical people, sorry. And they can make the best decisions for themselves, their family. And, you know, basically one of the biggest gifts of being in a content, which, you know, even as a coach, I fall in the consulting mode, is that you take yourself out of the equation. It's all about clients, right? Ask the best questions for the clients. And we don't need to have ownership over price, over list price. Like, I don't own the market. In sales, I'm supposed to have this assurity that to me it's false. And I don't like the intent behind it for myself. So I am a bit biased because all of our systems are built in consultants approach. So it's something that I teach with every single part of systems coaching we work with. It never really leaves the context of what we do.
No, I agree with you 100%, Kathleen. You know, from the same point of mind, you know, I don't sell people, I consult with folks, and I'm 100% okay walking away from a transaction or not working with a specific client at that time if it's not going to be the right thing for them. And when you have that shift in your mindset, it has a profound effect upon the people that you work with, your colleagues around you, the people that are watching you to see what, you know, your potential clients that you don't even know yet, because they to close because they want to get their sales numbers up for that month or whatever. And once you step out of being the used car salesman mentality of, you know, ABC, always be closing, and you go in with the mindset of like giving and here to, you know, for you, I always use the phrase, I'm client minded, not commission minded. And I use a very soothing tone and speech, and they look at me like I just told them they had a third hole in their head. And then I just smile at them. They're like, okay, he's either a creeper or he's a really nice guy. Like, I'm not really nice, so they're better judge.
Is that it, both? Well, and here's what the real rub with, I think, the consulting mindset versus the sales is exactly what you mentioned, Greg, which is those few extra sales. It's the idea or the concept that by having a consulting mindset that you start to get off on your sales goals because you're not willing to go the extra mile or to make those extra calls or whatever the case is to hit those numbers. And Kathleen, you're coaching in environments where agents are being held accountable and you're teaching team leaders to hold people accountable. So what's that balance there between pushing for the numbers and still having the right mindset when they're approaching clients?
Well, that's a really great question, because I don't think the model, you know, that allows people to be intrinsically or inspired to want to reach their goals is necessarily something everybody gravitates to, which I think opens the questions of, you know, what are the candidates we're looking for the team environments that we're working with? What are their values? What is their mindset? What does that recruitment look like? Because I think it's very powerful to get people who are, you know, self-propelled, that's not the right word, self-directed, right? It's very important to them to be at a mastery level. They want to be part of projects that are bigger than themselves. And I think the beauty is that those people shine with accountability, but not accountability of a quota of the team. Accountability of their goals, their aspirations, how they're contributing to their clientele, to the team overall. And I'm such a strong believer in the reality that if our purpose is bigger than profit, the profits will be much larger and they'll come off the table. We won't have to worry about them as much. So let's hold accountability to, you know, our values, our purpose, because the end of the day, I mean, I could put up a testimonial that's not really mine, or I could lie about something, but in the wisdom era, in my mind, my value comes from my filter, my capability to be trusted and to fall in a certain value level. So you can't tell me that A, we want a culture of mass production, and B, we want a culture of values, but at the end of the day, you hit your quotas no matter what. What I found is the energy, the flow is so much higher in the engagement, not just of our agents, but of our clientele when we're actually working toward the culture of value. Again, there's still accountability. Don't get me wrong. I'm not evading that. There 100% is, but it's towards the values, the vision, the goals of each individual agent, and that aligns to make a teamwork. So sometimes we have to recruit more, right? Because we don't have enough people to hit our goal. And, you know, do we hand down quotas or do we nurture more people? I don't know. That's a question, right?
Yeah, that is a great question, because it's a hard balance to strike, because you can try to raise per agent production, you know, which means inevitably means more accountability, more, you know, the enforcement of quotas and things like that, which is fine as long as the agents commit to it. But if they commit to one thing and then you raise it because you want to hit like an overall team goal that's higher, that I think that's where things get tough and you lose the agent's buy-in. They say, look, I didn't sign up to make you the #1 agent in our state. I signed up because I want to be able to pick my kids up at 3 o'clock and I want to make a higher income and not have to work a 9-to-5 job where I can't get out and pick up my kids at school. I think that's what maybe a lot of team leaders lose sight of that. And so that's one thing that I like about Jeff and the way that he sets the goals for like the flagship team over in Omaha is that the team goal is nothing but the cumulative goals of all the 25 to 30 agents that are on the team.
Yes.
Like he has within himself, hey, I would like to see us sell X number of units this year. I'd like to see us grow about 20%. I think we will. But he's also looking at, I need to do that by recruiting more great agents, not by cracking the whip on the agents that I already have to get them to do more work than they're really willing to do. And that's a hard thing to get team leaders to come to that point. Does that kind of resonate with the way that you coach?
Oh, that's 100% the way that we coach. I mean, when I start with individual, I want to get them, you know, in line with what are their vision, what's important to them. I mean, just the basic fact that sometimes our values are out of line with this industry, and a lot of great people leave the industry because they see the industry as a hurdle to their vision and their values. But often this industry is an amazing vehicle for an unbelievable number of opportunities and vision. So, I mean, if we can get people in alignment for that with our team, then I 100% agree. We don't hand out a quota. I do also think that as teams evolve and, you know, talent gets easier and higher because it's easier for them to do more business in less time, that sometimes it will be everyone's benefit to raise, let's say, a minimum standard, because you're creating a pool of excellence. And the more you dilute that, the more you take away from what's everyday normal life to the people in that environment. Like the teams I work with, everyday normal life of the business you can sell without it affecting your lifestyle is extremely different from the average agent, right? Like we're talking about 10, 15, some of them 100 times different than the average agent sales. So, you know, it's that balance of how do we have a culture of excellence and mastery, but also have players who are all in their own right, you know, superstars, so to speak, and nurture their vision and their success.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. It's not easy to do, but it's definitely something that as a leader you have to commit to if you have a team. And if you're an agent that's hopefully if you're an agent that's listening to this and you're going, well, how does this apply to me? Well, it applies because either you have to create that culture for yourself and you have to have the right mindset with your own clients and come to terms with that, the fact that might mean doing exactly what Greg talked about, which is walking away from that one deal where it's not the best thing for them, but you can sense that moment where you could potentially push them into making a decision, but you choose not to because it's out of line with your values. And then if you choose to go work on a team for the various advantages that you have when you join a team, you have to look for something that resonates with the core values. So Greg, I'm curious on your end when you're, you know, let's say you bring someone like Midori onto the team and she's making phone calls and she's rocking it and she's doing prospecting and stuff like that. What did you like? How did you get a sense of where her values were at and what her goals were to see if she was a cultural fit for your team?
I threw her into the deep end wearing boots. And I wanted to see if she could swim.
Okay.
Finally, to do, I tested her willpower, and I said, "Okay, let's do some scripts, and let's get you a Mojo dialer." She didn't balk at either one of them. I walked the room for 5 minutes, and I wanted to see if she's still going to be there when I get back, and what her progression had been. Not only had she had started mastering her own skill set, you know, in her own version. And so that's when I knew, and that's what I do to everyone now, be part of our team. I throw them right into the deep end. If they can pass that test and they can get over the fear after I've shown them what to do and they don't need me to coddle, then know that, okay, this is someone I'm going to time with because they're going to want to invest back into both themselves and they understand there's going to be a lot of hard work. Once they understand there's going to be to be a lot of hard work. And the HGTV version, you know, has gotten out of their damn head, and it's not all rainbows, roses, unicorns, and candies. It's going to be a lot of grunt, hard work. That's what I look for in a person. And I can come alongside them, guide them, scripts, and anything need to be successful. But I first have to make sure they're willing to work incredibly hard. Think about it, you know, make it feel more warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
That's my approach.
We do have to give you a hard time because Toronto is the export of a lot of HGTV episodes, I've noticed. So we have to give you a hard time about that because Toronto has a huge role to play in making every agent's job more difficult. But so when you work with when you're working with the team leader, do you take them through a process of kind of figuring out what their core values are so that they're leading and kind of bringing everything back to a specific set of core values, or what does your process look like for that?
Yes, absolutely. I'm just laughing at HGTV because I haven't had cable like 10 years, so it doesn't make a difference to me.
Man, you live in I love it.
Yeah, I don't really watch HGTV. But yeah,
your brain is still like pure snow. It's not been peed on and polluted, and then everyone. Oh, you son of a bitch! It's not easy to do real estate, you douchebag. It's really hard. It's a real job, damn it.
Yes.
Respect my.
I agree. Yeah, I haven't been polluted with HGTV. You are right. Other things maybe, not HGTV. So with that, with team leaders, I mean, their values. Team leaders are people, right? So they need to be in line with their values, just like anyone else, I believe, to be successful. So we start there. They go through the same goal-setting process as their team. The difference is they also do values on a team level. They also do mission and vision on a team level, which is, you know, a much higher focus. I mean, your values as a team leader doesn't mean that's what's going to resonate as your values for a full team. That's very different, right? Like when it becomes bigger than you need to figure out what fits and what's connecting with all the team members here. And is it too inclusive? Like, does it have the ability for other people to join and feel part of it, or is it going to hold you too small because the values dictate that level? And I think, you know, getting back to the consulting part of it, you know, your culture, your values also are going to flow towards the sales mindset or the consulting mindset. And I think we really, you know, you talked about that used car salesman kind of approach. And often the first thing I ask when I say, what do you think the public thinks about when they think of realtors? And that's what they say. People are going to push, people are going to scam them, people make all this money but don't care about us. And I say, you know, really, if we want to invest in raising our profession and our industry, we have a choice. And the consultant service view mindset falls in line with a service, not a product. The sales falls in line with the product. Again, I don't want to associate my value with that product. I want to associate it with a service so I can be client focused, client centered, and truly try to serve them. And I think, you know, the hubs I work with, I'm very grateful. For us in Canada, it's Thanksgiving this weekend, so spending lots of time thinking about gratitude. But I'm so grateful because the teams that we work with, I mean, their cultures, their values, I mean, it's a beautiful thing just to watch and to see them actually live it and go out there and say, because we put client first, we do more business. Even though we walk away from sales, sometimes they're dominating. And it's amazing to me, those people running after the deal in that scarcity mindset, doing anything to try to get the commission, it just evades them, right? It's the age-old story. Get into abundance mastery and people are attracted to working with you.
Yeah, it's totally true. You know, people with the abundance versus the scarcity, I mean, you can literally smell it on them. You can see it in their eyes, the way they operate. And if you can, and the one thing I've been blessed with, and Kathleen, I know that you've probably done the same thing, is that some of the people that I've had the ability to coach, you know, with the McDaniel Challenge, is that I actually have taken them and worked with them from the scarcity and turned them into abundance. So I showed them a different way of viewing it. 'Cause I'm just a third part coaching, right? Mm-hmm. And with that, with being able to show them that there is abundance in their life, mm-hmm. then they're able to start looking at everything else with a different filter on their eyes and the way they view the world. Therefore, when they go to work, they are able to see the glass full versus half empty. And mm-hmm. it's an incredibly powerful thing to watch that shift happen.
Yeah, that's an interesting component of this. I wonder if like the sales mindset is very, very closing oriented. You know, you get that lead and you work them as much as you can, you overcome the objections and things like that. And there is a lot of value in that, in the sense that people do want to be led they want you to lead them to the solution that's right for them, and I get that. But it is interesting. Maybe there's a component of the scarcity mindset in that they don't believe, like they hold on to each lead in the sense that they believe that maybe there's not enough other leads out there of people that are a better fit, and so they really hang on to and try. I mean, we can see that definitely in the average agent that works with just anybody everywhere, all over the city, and they don't have any specific idea of who they want to work with as a client type. But then even, I think it extends even into guys that are really successful, that are very, very good salespeople. They want, once a lead exposes itself, or once somebody raises their hand, they're like, great, I'm going to do literally everything I can to bring you in as a client, and seemingly pays no attention to whether they're actually a good fit for that person. Because I think the interesting thing about all this, and Kathleen, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like a lot of the intellectual or the philosophical stuff on sales that came into real estate came to us from more transactional or product-oriented approaches. And unfortunately, after we sell something to someone in real estate, like once we sell them on working with us, we actually have to then go and work with them. Like that's the Achilles heel of this whole thing, is we can't just sell them a product and move on. Like we actually have to work with these people, and they have to get along with us, and we have to give them a great experience. Otherwise, we're never going to get a referral, and we have to start all over again. And does that make sense? I don't know if maybe I don't have my history right, but it seems to me like it's a very transaction, or even comes from selling products, like the door-to-door tradition that comes up from like guys like Zig Ziglar in the 30s and 40s. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm following you. Sorry, somebody's just out there. I think I'm following you for sure. Yeah, I mean, there is, like, just to give an example for sure, like just how different the philosophy or the values are. I mean, when I started to run the prior team coaching company that I was an owner, I ran for several years, the number one thing I did the first 2 years was all content overhaul. It was all because we're starting this coaching company, and what do you think the number one feedback is? This is all fluff, right? This is all these pushy sales tactics, and it just wasn't resonating with people. And myself, my core, my values, our consultant's approach. So very much we said, how can we take that lens and kind of take it through everything we do? And that's what got us where we are now. That's, one of the big differentiating principles of how we approach things. But I think there's something really important in what you said that I work with a lot. I think there's a big misconception that consultants don't lead, that they just sit back and they ask questions. First of all, I love the consulting approach because you ask questions to figure out what the client thinks they need. In the end, is that what they need? Who knows? It's not my job to tell them that at that point. My job is to listen. What do you think you need from your approach? Instead of like sales saying, you need this, you need this, you need this, come and meet with me. I lean back and say, okay, whether it's coaching or it's a seller or buyer, what are your needs in your perception? What are you looking for? What's important to you? Because at the end of the day, if I say and do everything to get you, whether it's a buyer, seller, or a coaching client, and I'm in this place of, desperation, in the end, I'm not going to follow through on what I'm saying. I'm teaching you that all I care about is profit, and I'll do anything I can to get that profit. And at the end of the day, once I've got it, I've taught you the model I work with, so I'm not going to follow through. Whereas I think with a consultant, we're looking to guide them towards their goal. The intent is very different. It's like, you tell me you think you need to research first, you're not there yet, you're unsure, you don't want to put a sign on your lawn yet, you think that's a little bit too soon. Instead of pushing and getting a listing, which maybe I might get, I'm going to listen. Okay, you're telling me that you think you need to research for it first. That's where you're comfortable. I'm going to meet you there. And then I'm only going to offer you things that are in line with what you told me you need from your perspective, because that's my best chance to meet with you. The big misconception is that we've got salesperson over here, we've got consultant over here, and they're one is less powerful or less leading or less has less of an outcome. And I think that's very false. I think there's somebody in the middle. And it's kind of like, when we talk about selling list prices, we talk about no man's land. I don't know if you guys use that language, but you have a sign on the lawn, but you're not quite where anything's getting done. And between salesperson and consultant, the most dangerous spot to me, ironically, is not salesperson. Salesperson at least knows what they want to get done. They're powerful because they have an outcome. If I'm in the middle and I don't have, and I spend all my time running these wheels, running in my head, going, what do I say? What do I ask? Are they upset with me? Do they think I'm pushing them? What should I do next? That's the most dangerous person in our industry, because they don't know what they're doing. They're not leading themselves. They're not leading clients, and they're sabotaging the results of the salesperson and the consultant. So to me, the misconception is that if I'm a consultant, I'm not going to support you. I'm not going to push sometimes. Yes, I am going to push sometimes, but it's going to come from what you said you needed. Like in our market, we're in a massive aggressive seller market. It's extremely aggressive. And you've got agents who work with their clients to prep them for those, 20 multiple offers they're going up against to get their dream home. And the truth is, the ones who prep them the best and put a little, have them own the fact that they could miss this house if they don't do what they need, provided they can afford it. The ones who do that, at the end of the day, their clients get the home, they're happy with them, they send them referrals, they stayed in a consultant's approach, but they push them towards their goal, not our goal. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm articulating it.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. I mean, what you're talking about essentially is commission. I call it commission breath. And it's when and it's a very stinky cologne when you go out and it's just money, 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 not about the client. And you lose sight of what your real job is as a real estate consultant or a real estate professional or agent, whatever, is that you're there to provide a solution to a problem. Buyers have a problem, they need to buy. Sellers have a problem, they need to sell. Not your problem is that you need to find that solution, not put another dollar. That's where people lose the definition between the two sides, because they can't differentiate between themselves and the client's needs. Yeah. And once they start pushing too hard, that's when we get the car salesman, sleazy mentality that is portrayed on every medium across the universe, every TV show, every movie. Who are we? We're the dingbat morons who are trying to push something too hard. The professional soul and actually having their client's main goal in mind. But sadly, the majority of agents, and I used to be one myself, had that mindset until I was able to live differently. Mm-hmm. And so it just takes that mind shifting for the agent, and then our whole industry, how we're viewed in the end all client's mind should change over the next 600 to 1,000 years.
That's very promising.
Man, I hope I'm not there to see it. All right. Very, very uncomfortable to get around. All right. So here's all right. So a couple last things to go over. So my current thinking on this, in terms of just stepping back and looking at the real estate landscape and kind of how we're in different camps, and I wrote about this on Facebook this morning, just the camp of we're consultants and we do what's best for the client, versus the ones that are in the kind of the hustle, get out there and make your phone calls and very, very outcome based, very transactional based selling. So I think where the disconnect is there is the guys that are very, very focused on the numbers and the transactional selling, that there's this culture of ego and pride around overcoming fear, really knocking out a large number of calls, getting over the rejection, and taking massive action. And all of those things, those are all really good. Unfortunately, those qualities don't appeal to the people that are really drawn to the consultant mindset. And you can toss away all the ego and the pride stuff, but you still have to have the massive action. And I think that's where the people that come from the consulting mindset lose it. And because I can feel it in myself, is I've had to as things have gotten more successful and as I'm pushing for more success, I have to accelerate and I have to get more stuff done in less time, more calls, shorter calls, whatever the case is. I've had to make that adjustment to myself, because I do have the values of I want to do what's best for the client, but at some point you do have to lead them to the outcome that they say they want. You know what I'm saying? And you have to accelerate the number of contacts that you make in order to find the people that genuinely match up with you. If you want to help just the people that really mesh, you're going to have to sort through some people to just sheer numbers, finding those people that mesh up with you. So I think the hard part for people that come from that consulting mindset is how do they get themselves into massive action? I think that's probably the struggle the team leaders have in motivating their agents, is they can't identify with someone coming from such a different mindset than they have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but the difference, I think, Matt, is that you need to find out what drives that individual agent. It's not money. It could be time with their family, their significant other. It could be traveling. It could be alone time. What motivates them the most? Once you find the motivator, their why, then they'll be willing to do the massive action, because now you've lit the fire.
Yeah.
For me, it's, it's being a multi-bajillionaire and having gold-plated 747s with all the bling I could possibly carry. But after I do, my 2,000 squats, because it's what it's going to take to carry all that bling.
Oh.
Mr.
For me, it's alone time from you. It's a startling coincidence. It's funny how you mentioned alone time, because that was exactly what I was thinking.
It's not long to make Greg shut up. This is
oh man, but that is true. I mean, you do have to get to the root of what motivates the individual agent. That has to be, Kathleen, a hurdle that you tackle all the time with team leaders that come from more of the sales mindset, and then dealing with their agents that come from more of a consulting mindset.
Well, it's not a hurdle. It's a process for sure. Like, it's something that we go through, and it's a transition. And as with anything, if you see your world differently, right, you feel differently. And I find the sales aspect and the ego can also be very stressful. It can be very reactive. It can be very hard on our health, hard on our energy. So I don't think it's just a matter of, numbers. If I put all of my focus into, this mass domination in one area of my life, eventually, if the other areas suffer, my business is going to suffer as well. Whereas I think we have some different terminology we're using here, because I have salesperson on one side, again, consultant in the other side. In my world, both of those players are very, very effective when it comes to sales. If anything, my clientele is almost completely consultant based. And they are extremely successful. I mean, we're talking about the top teams in Canada, top teams in GTA. I mean, they're doing massive, massive numbers. So I think the way I see my world, and your world's whatever you surround yourself with, right? World, I have a happy bubble because it's already happened. But for the rest of the industry, I agree, it's a little bit different. I think, again, that this person in the middle that I see being a little bit more dangerous, again, I don't think they are necessarily even as money hungry, or they're as, they don't have as much commission breath or commission cologne or whatever terms we've thrown out. It's that they're trying so hard to do the right thing, and they don't have the training, they don't have the expertise, that they're not able to be active players. I just see them as the average, kind of floating around in our industry and second guessing everything and not having capabilities to lead the clients. And it's a pretty painful existence. I mean, in our market, 80% of people leave real estate within the first 12 months. So why is it that they don't know their values? Is it the same for you guys? It's 80% will leave the business.
Not in 12 months. It's usually 2.5 years.
Oh, okay. So we're
we're gluttons for pain more than you guys are, apparently.
They hang in there and cling to the underside of the brokerage, and they have a stand-up office for a while longer. I don't know.
It was like more like barnacles until we just fall off.
That's right.
I think too, like, I've seen the cutthroat teams and cultures take themselves down. And I mean, I can be really honest that I was with a team who transformed, who, had different team leaders come in, different trainers come in. I mean, the main team leader wasn't running the team almost the entire time I was selling with it. So we had very different influences. And to be honest, if I had stayed in the sales mindset, I wouldn't have stayed in the industry. I mean, I'm in coaching now, but I wouldn't have been able to do it. I found it very empty. I found it very factory line mentality. And I couldn't find the purpose in my work. And the truth is, the industry didn't need to change. It didn't at all. There's not a problem with the industry. I needed to change. I needed to get in line with what are my values? How can I serve clients? How can I make a contribution in this industry that's bigger than money? And that propelled me and allowed me to sell 10 times more than the idea of, an extra couple of trade checks in my purse or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly right. But that's what made that transformation for you. You found out what drove you. And then I think everyone who's listening right now, take a real look at yourself, an introspective look. What do you find the most valuable? Money, alone time, not hearing my voice. As Matt, he was like, yep, check that box. Woo, big red marker. Or what it is, family time, friends with your time with your spouse, your significant other, traveling. I mean, the world's a big place, guys. Figure out what makes you happy and then work so you can get that happy place, or see if you can blend them together. And that would be the perfect way.
Yeah, it's like it. Yeah, because Aaron Wittenstein makes this point. He's like, look, I don't want to lead generate, but lead generate is my job for 3 hours a day, and then that's what gives me the ability to do the things that I love the rest of the time. So if you're in that environment where, look, you're trying to get to the goal, but you don't necessarily like the process of the things you have to do to generate leads, well, that's that's a lot of people, and we get over it.
Right,
and you look at it like with that mentality.
Gamify it. Make it a game for yourself. Give yourself a small reward at the end of the day. Let's say, you know, me not being me, I'll say I hated doing cold calls, which I actually love doing them. I detested them. It was the only thing I could do. But I really liked chocolate, Matt. And so
I have no idea what that's like. You'll have to tell me. You have to describe it to me because I'm really not sure what you mean.
So full of shit. Matt's a chocoholic, just by the way. Just everyone knows. But you know, if I loved chocolate and I could give myself a half of a Snickers bar, half of a Daredevil chocolate, if I was to do the calls, work towards the goal, and I gamified it and I made it fun every time someone told me no or go F off or whatever else they're gonna tell me, and I could give myself a high five like, yeah, McDaniel, you rule. You got told to F off again. You know. Have
it's not bad. I like it. A little piece of dark chocolate every time somebody tells you no on a prospecting call. Give yourself a little reward.
Matt, no wonder your kids are obese. Those old wood genders, they learned it from you.
That's right. My 3 kids are my ISA team. All right. Well, let's bring this one home. And Kathleen, so share with us where they can find out more information about your coaching and consulting, and then how do they take a step towards you?
Our website is www.kathleenspeaks.com. Pretty easy to remember. We also have a massive event coming up in November 9th, 10th, and 11th, and that's the Ultimate Team Summit. And it's not just for team leaders, it's not just for teams, it's for anybody who wants to understand the efficiency and the systems that allow teams to do mass numbers. You may not want to be a team yourself, but most people certainly want to understand how they do what they do and pick up on their techniques. We also have, for us, the top teams across Canada in attendance. So it's like a hub of basically mass producers, which for me is a pretty rare environment on the team scale. So I'm pretty excited about that. So that's in Niagara Falls, November 9th, 10th, and 11th. They can also email me or us at info@kathleenspeaks.com, and we certainly will connect, and happy to point people in the right direction. If it's not us, there are a lot of amazing coaching and training companies, and our goal is to fit people, with the right people to help them succeed. So.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
And then, Greg, how do people connect with you for the McDaniel Challenge?
Oh, man, it's magical, dude. They do this thing that I don't know people, it's a new thing. It's called Call Me Playa. My cell phone number, which has our cool logo right there on it until it turns off. Here it goes. There it is. And there's not me. Damn it, it's not working. Anyways, guys, call me 925-915-1978. Again, 925-915-1978. Or follow me. Don't friend me. Follow me on Facebook. Facebook's a dick. Only lets me have 5,000 friends. So if you follow me, you'll see all my live coaching and prospecting that I do on there. I'm going to actually be stepping it up significantly in the next week or two, and I'll kind of let you guys know as I roll that out. But yeah, guys, the McDaniel Challenge is an hour to 2 hours of free, capital FREE, free coaching, no strings attached, where you get to hang out with me, we get to chat and banter. I'm nothing special. I'm just an agent that's been doing it for a while, guys, and I'm booked out. Matt, you're going to get a kick out of this, dude. I'm booked out until June. Oh shit, I think it's wrong. It's not syncing, but like mid-June is my next availability. Let me check this exact thing. As you wrap it up, I will make sure that I am telling them exactly the right month and date to reach out to me.
Well, in the meantime, subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher, and follow the show. And check out McDanielRealEstateSystems.com. We've got some resources there, like Greg's favorite scripts, which is also free, and the farming training video course has got all of Greg's best stuff on everything from selecting your farm to secrets of using Zillow, running client events, cold, warm, and hot outbound prospecting, like literally everything I could squeeze out of Greg's brain, like I was crushing an orange. I got out into that video course for you guys, so check that out on the website. And yeah, we'll call it mid-June. So seriously, if you guys don't get on the fence, you'll be calling Greg in like 2018, and by the time you might be out of the business. So
yeah, especially if you're Canadian.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're in Canada, you better hurry, because if he's already booked through June, the clock's ticking. Let's get rolling here. All right, guys. Well, let's put a ribbon on this one. Thank you, everybody, for watching that watched us live, and we appreciate you watching or listening to the replay. If you're doing that, make sure to take a step towards Kathleen. Learn more about her at KathleenSpeaks.com, and we'll see everybody else here on Monday.
All right, guys. Take care, guys. Love you.
Pleasure.